Hello, welcome back everyone. Nice day out today. I'm taking advantage of the weather and I figured I'd roll out my Cub Cadet 1912 Super Garden Tractor here and a few others and talk about it and show you guys the 1912. I've done videos in the past of the Super Garden Tractors and I talked about a 1912, but this was before I actually had one to show you guys. So show you some of the differences for you, those of you that didn't see the other video. I figured I'd roll these other ones out and just talk a little bit about them. So real quick, 1979 IH came out with the 982 Super Garden Tractor, larger tires, that kind of thing. 1981 they sold to MTD. So MTD had bought Cub Cadet. They continued to make the 982. It was just a yellow and white version like you see here, and instead of saying 1912 on this decal, it would have said 982. Now, MTD continued to build the 982s like you see here for IH agriculture dealers, and the only difference was it had a black front axle under it, and the rear ends in the MTD red ones ended up, instead of being cast iron like you see here, they turned out to be aluminum. This one here, when I got this, was really filthy. I got it all cleaned up, looking pretty good. But so MTDs went to aluminum rear end, but the axles were a little stronger in them compared to the IH ones. But the casings had a tendency to crack where they mount to the frame with the aluminum ones on the MTD. So 1985 rolls around, International Harvester sold its agricultural division. So now MTD is not making red ones like you see here no more, because there are no IH agricultural sales. So they continued to make the Super Garden Tractor in yellow and white. Mid 85 they changed it to a 1912 and a 1914. One unique thing about this 1912 that I have is the decal here. I refer to this as a black stripe, but I prefer it over this bluish stripe that you see here. This is the newer design like you see on my 1772. In mid 85 they changed, they come out with a 1912, 1914. Now 1912s and 14s, they were your bare bones tractor. They came equipped with dual brake pedals, which the 982 that was an option. Main difference is this is a 1912. If it was a 1914, it would have came with a rear PTO and a 3-point hitch. So it was just how they numbered them and how MT did it. Why they did it that way, I'm not sure. But in 1986, this decal here went away, and the 1912s and 14s came in a decal like that. So not that it's like a real rarity thing, but you don't see too many 1912s and 14s with this type of decal, because it was very short-lived for maybe like 5 months. So then in 1987, like I said, the 1912s and 14s only ran mid 85 to 1987. Then it went to an 1872 and a 2072. Big difference on the 18s and 2072s in 87, along with the 1572 diesel. Power steering came factory, and it was never an option on these tractors. So now they're equipped with power steering. So really, 1912s, they're really not that common, and really yellow and white 982s aren't super common either. For value wise, these are probably the 982s and the 1912s are probably the least valuable in Super Cub Cadets, and that just being if you find one, it's got an aluminum rear end and there's no power steering. So if the engine's toast or anything like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're still worth getting and fixing, but they're just not as sought after as like an 1872 or something with the power steering. The red 982s, especially IH built, they're pretty collectible. A lot of people like them, and it's just because they're red, and I have to agree it was an IH tractor, so I prefer the red ones, but the yellow and white ones are pretty cool. So just show you guys under the hood, Onan B48G, the dash, everything. The 1912 and 14 982s, they're all pretty much the same tractor. One unique thing I did see on this 1912, which I have to do some more investigating on this, and I really didn't see anything. If you notice the tunnel cover on a 982, and some of the other ones are different too. This decal, this imprint here, is like bigger on some. But on my 1912, someone drilled this hole. This is not a factory hole, but this came from the factory along with these. So the tunnel cover is different from a 1912 and a 982. And then if you go over here, and this tunnel cover is the same as like an 18 and 2072, 1572, etc. They put this gauge in here, but there's no stampings. This is larger because probably for the diesel decal and the PTO, but that's just one little difference I did see. Other than that, the rear end on a 1914 would have looked like that compared to the 1912. So pretty much that's 1912. I wanted to share it. One thing I will point out before I end this video, for any of you guys looking at super garden tractors, two things to always look for when you're buying one of these is right underneath here, and I pointed this out on a video before, where the rear end meets right there, these ears on the transmission tendency to crack off. Bolts get loose and they just snap on the rear end. And it is something you can fix, but it's time consuming and it does cost money. So whenever you're looking at buying one of these, definitely look underneath there and check that out. And the only other thing, main thing, I mean, engine you can pretty much listen to, make sure it's not smoking, that kind of stuff. But always try to take the tunnel cover off and inspect your drive shaft. These things had a common problem for the rag joints wearing out and components, and these drive shafts get sloppy, especially on the diesels. Most of the diesels I see for sale, that's the reason why they've been parked or they've had issues, because they've had drive shaft issues, and instead of fixing them, people just park them. So if you're in the market for a super garden tractor, just keep that in mind. That's the two main things you have to look out for, other than common stuff like I said, engine issues or anything like that. So just wanted to talk a little bit about it. If you guys like garden tractor videos and that kind of stuff, I plan on making more videos of these in the future as I get them out and doing tasks with them. Thanks for watching.